Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest. The Raptors did play a game today. They ended up winning against the San Antonio Spurs, but that's not what we're going to talk about on this podcast. It was a great win for the Raptors, but there's bigger news, something the legend, the NBA great, just icon Kobe Bryant was in a tragic accident this morning. Him and his daughter and nine people total ended up passing away due to a helicopter crash. Riker, just horrible news all around.
It's a solemn day in the NBA, and Kobe Bryant, his legacy is really it's broader than just the NBA. And we've already seen the outpouring of condolences and support from NBA players and just media people in general. But I think, and what we'll probably break down this podcast, is the impact that he had on the future generation of basketball stars. Before Kobe Bryant, of course, Michael Jordan was the main guy that convinced a lot of people to play, but you'll see people our age in the 20s and the 30s that Kobe Bryant was that defining player, that he reached globally, different countries, young kids, middle schoolers, everyone alike, and he really united people with basketball. So it's tragic that only 41 years old himself and one of his daughters gone under terrible circumstances, leaving behind his family and the rest of his daughters. So it's a really hard one to digest, a hard one to break down, and the future or the state of basketball now is in absolute shock and mourning.
Yeah, it's just really tough to hear. It's tough to speak on, and you'll hear a lot of people talking about Kobe Bryant's career, the superstar that he was, the NBA champion he was, the best player in the league for definitely a stretch of his career. But you mentioned it, the impact that he had on everyone. Both you and I are from Newfoundland, Canada. No NBA team close to it. And I'm sure there's listeners from all around the world, this podcast, that watch the NBA. And just from our own experiences you throw a piece of paper into a trash can, you automatically say Kobe without thinking. You go around to schools, to anywhere, at the mall, anywhere. People that don't play basketball, people that probably don't even follow the NBA that closely, are wearing Kobe Bryant jerseys. With me specifically, I only exclusively wore Kobe Bryant shoes growing up. You want to have that Mamba mentality when you played. I wore my jersey 2 sizes too big because that's what Kobe did, and it looked cool. I never really ever rooted for Kobe Bryant in terms of the Lakers and the team. I was always rooting for the Eastern Conference, rooting for the Raptors, but there was just an essence that Kobe Bryant provided that it's only described through the Mamba mentality, the perseverance, the extreme focus to complete tasks. It's not just with basketball, to everyday life, that you just learn from him and you think about that sort of mentality. And for even people that didn't root for him, for people that didn't watch basketball, he grew beyond basketball. It was just his persona it was inspiring for millions and millions of people all over the world.
Ben, he was a polarizing figure, and it's terrible because of the potential that he had now, even after his time on the court. And you can mention after some of his stats and some of his career highlights, but even just in a multiple facets, but his coaching, right? His personal training with guys like Giannis, DeMar DeRozan, even on the Raptors team with Norm and Kyle Lowry. Like, he really had a big impact on players in the league and trying to develop that next wave of talent. All of his business opportunities, his advocacy for the league, his speaking, his coaching of his daughter's teams. Like, this man, he had a huge footprint globally, and there was a lot of things that I think would have been really interesting and really amazing to see unfold from his career moving forward after the NBA. And I'm sure that somebody's going to keep that going in his legacy and in his name. But the fact that he's not going to be around to do that and to see it through personally, it's terrible, Ben. It's really sad. And like you said, just from people that were impacted so greatly. Even if you're not a fan of Kobe Bryant, he could have been or probably was one of the reasons that you became aware, I'm speaking generally to anybody listening, of the NBA. And he was either a villain in your eyes or a hero in your eyes, but he was a player that commanded you and demanded that you watch and that you listen to every career feat that he had on and off the court. So it's a terrible day, and it's going to be a really difficult week, and I think future now for the interim, at least moving forward, as we recognize and try to speak through this tragedy.
Yeah, sir. It's devastating. That's the only way to describe it. Just for all people, he was beyond basketball as a person. I mentioned it. You look at his stats, his career history: a 5-time champion, scored second highest scoring total of the game against the Toronto Raptors, actually with 81. And it's Kobe Bryant. You wanted to be him. He had us all. I remember both you and I always practicing the post fadeaway back when we played a lot growing up.
Still do, Ben.
Still do. His footwork is everything. And you look at Raptors players, as obviously this is a Raptors podcast. You brought up Norman Powell. He's been training with Norman's been training with Kobe Bryant over the summer, and that's probably a big reason he's taken that step forward this year. We've just seen DeMar DeRozan after the game tonight. We all know, as being avid Raptors followers, what impact Kobe Bryant had on him and his career, and DeMar gave him credit that said he wouldn't have that drive. He wouldn't have any of the things that put him in the position he's in today without Kobe Bryant, and there's not much more to be said. It's the league, people that follow basketball, just the whole world that knew who Kobe Bryant was. It's shocking. It's devastating.
Yeah. And I mean, we're going to see some good things, I think, come of this. Just looking at the crowd that's sort of gathered or amassed outside of Staples Center is sort of showing the immediate impact that he's had or the legacy that he's had, and people just going out to mourn his loss. And I think, like I said, we're going to see now around the world the outpouring of support towards his family now, and sort of their regrouping. And then, of course, with the rest of the people that were impacted by this helicopter crash, 7 others and their families, and how they're going to have to deal with this moving forward. So I am sad, but I'm interested now to see as well what the responses of everyone is. It's slowly trickling in. You know, we've seen Michael Jordan respond, but some of the guys that have really been, or Shaq as well, some of the guys that have been really close to Kobe Bryant, and it's it's really sad when you see their responses and just how close they were with him. So, yeah, it's a bad time in the league, Ben, and it's unfortunate too that teams had to play tonight, and they did a good,
yep,
I think, act at the beginning. I think most teams are carrying through with the running out either an 8-second violation to commemorate obviously his number 8 jersey that he wore that's retired, or running through a 24-second shot clock like we saw in the Raptors Spurs game this evening. I believe that most teams are doing that in memory of Kobe Bryant, as well as tributes, but it'll go farther than that for certain. And as he was maybe one of the bigger players ever to play in the NBA, I'm sure that the league is going to do some really nice things for him.
Certainly, Riker. And I guess one last thing to close this pod out on is there's 9 lives lost in this helicopter crash, which makes this loss of an icon even more devastating, more heartbreaking. And one of those people includes Kobe's daughter, Gianna, who was becoming quite the basketball player herself, was becoming known across America, across everywhere now with social media, but she was trying to carry on the Mamba legacy and was doing a great job at it, so it makes it even more heartbreaking. Kobe just came out speaking on WNBA players and giving them more prowess, especially with his daughter coming up through the ranks as a women's basketball player. So it just shows how much he was a family man and a testament to his character. So thoughts, blessings, prayers, condolences, everything we can send the way of the Bryant family, everyone affected, we're sending it from us. So just a devastating situation.
Yeah, absolutely, Ben. I'd say we could probably wrap it up there.